Picture this. It's 3,000 years ago, in the depths of an Egyptian temple. Flickering torches cast dancing shadows on hieroglyph-covered walls as Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom, stands before 12 initiates. These aren't ordinary students. They've spent decades mastering sacred geometry, astral projection, and the deepest mysteries of consciousness itself. The air is thick with frankincense and anticipation. These chosen ones have sacrificed everything to reach this moment, believing they'd receive complex rituals or lengthy incantations to access the monad, that primordial source of all existence. But Thoth surprises them. What he's about to reveal isn't a complicated ceremony requiring years of study. It's 3 simple words. 3 words so powerful they instantly dissolve the illusion of separation between human consciousness and divine unity. The initiates lean forward, hearts pounding. They have no idea these same 3 words will be whispered in mystery schools for millennia, carefully guarded by secret societies who understood their earth-shattering potential. Tonight, you're about to receive this identical transmission. The same 3 words that transformed those ancient seekers are waiting for you. When Thoth gathered his initiates that fateful night, the question burning in their minds wasn't just what times he would reveal, but how such profound knowledge could be transmitted. These were men and women already versed in complex ceremonial magic, elaborate purification rites, and intricate geometric formulas that took years to master. They expected another labyrinthine system, another set of bewildering symbols to decode. What Thoth gave them instead revolutionized everything they thought they knew about accessing divine consciousness. You see, Thoth understood something about the nature of reality that even his most advanced students had missed. As the architect of sacred geometry and the keeper of divine mathematics, he knew that consciousness itself operates on principles of elegant simplicity. The universe doesn't respond to complexity, it responds to precision. Think about this for a moment. When you examine the most powerful symbols from ancient Egypt, what strikes you immediately? The Ankh, a simple cross with a loop. The Eye of Horus, basic geometric shapes forming an eye. The Scarab, a beetle. These weren't complex mandalas or elaborate diagrams. They were distilled essence, pure meaning, compressed into its most potent form. Thoth recognized that 3 words represented the perfect mathematical structure for manifestation, not because of tradition or mystical preference, but because of how consciousness itself is constructed. 1 word creates a vibration, but it's incomplete, like a single note trying to become a symphony. It lacks the dimensional quality needed to bridge different levels of reality. 2 words create tension, a back-and-forth dynamic, but they remain locked in duality. They push against each other rather than creating a stable foundation for transformation. But 3 words? 3 words form a trinity, a complete geometric structure that creates its own space. Think of a triangle, the most stable shape in all of architecture and engineering. You can't collapse a triangle without breaking it entirely. 3 points create dimension, create a doorway, create a portal between what is and what could be. This wasn't theoretical knowledge for Thoth. He understood that the monad, that perfect, undivided source of all existence, doesn't recognize elaborate ceremonies or complex rituals. It recognizes truth. It responds to consciousness that speaks with absolute clarity and understanding. Here's what's remarkable about Thoth's approach. He was thinking thousands of years into the future. He knew that chosen ones wouldn't just incarnate in ancient Egypt. They would appear across every culture, every time period, speaking different languages, practicing different traditions. The key to the monad had to transcend all of these surface differences. A ritual tied to Egyptian culture would be useless to a chosen one born in medieval Europe or modern-day Tokyo. But 3 words that capture a fundamental truth about consciousness and reality, that becomes universal. That becomes timeless. Modern science is finally catching up to what Thoth understood intuitively. We now know that certain sound frequencies create measurable changes in brain states. We understand that words aren't just arbitrary sounds, they're vibrational keys that unlock specific patterns of neural activity. When you speak certain combinations of sounds with focused intention, you literally alter the electromagnetic field around your brain. But Thoth's insight went deeper than even this. He understood that these 3 specific words create what we might call a frequency signature, a unique vibrational pattern that the monad recognizes instantly. It's like a cosmic passcode, a way of announcing to the universe, I understand who I am and why I'm here. This connects directly to the most fundamental principle of creation itself. When consciousness first moved to create reality, it did so through the power of the word. Let there be light wasn't poetry. It was consciousness expressing itself through precise language, and reality responding by reshaping itself accordingly. Every genuine creation story across cultures recognizes this same principle. The universe is spoken into existence. Reality responds to consciousness when that consciousness expresses itself with perfect clarity and intention. What made Thoth's approach revolutionary, even among the mystery schools of his time, was his rejection of the idea that complexity equals power. The other schools were developing increasingly elaborate initiation ceremonies, more intricate symbolic systems, longer and more demanding purification processes. They believed that the difficulty of the path somehow validated its authenticity. Thoth saw through this completely. He understood that the ego loves complexity because complexity keeps you busy, keeps you feeling like you're making progress while actually keeping you trapped in endless preparation. The ego can spend lifetimes mastering complicated systems without ever actually touching the simple truth that sets consciousness free. The three words Thoth chose cut through all of that. They bypass the ego's need for elaborate spiritual theater and speak directly to the part of you that already knows its divine nature. They don't require years of study or perfect pronunciation or ritual purity. They require something much more challenging, the willingness to speak truth with complete understanding of what you're saying. This is why the words work regardless of your background, your education level, or your previous spiritual experience. The monad doesn't care about your credentials. It recognizes authenticity. It responds to consciousness that has remembered its true nature and is willing to declare that recognition clearly and simply. When you understand this principle, you begin to see why so many spiritual seekers spend decades in complicated practices without ever experiencing the direct connection they're seeking. They're looking for the divine in the wrong place, in the complexity rather than in the clarity, in the elaborate rather than in the essential. Tonight, when you speak these three words, you're not performing a ritual. You're making a declaration of recognition. You're announcing to the monad that you remember who you are. What Thoth understood thousands of years ago, quantum physicists are just beginning to rediscover. Consciousness doesn't just observe reality, it actively creates it. And the bridge between consciousness and creation? Words. Specific combinations of sounds that, when spoken with precise awareness, can literally open doorways in the fabric of space-time itself. Think about this for a moment. Every word you speak creates a ripple of vibration that extends far beyond what your ears can detect. Modern science has shown us that sound waves don't just disappear, they continue moving through the quantum field, creating interference patterns, resonance effects, and what physicists call non-local correlations. But Thoth knew something even more profound. Certain combinations of sounds, when activated by a consciousness calibrated to the right frequency, can create what we might call quantum keys that unlock access to the monad itself. Here's where it gets fascinating. Each syllable you speak generates a specific frequency signature, not just in the air around you, but in the quantum field that underlies all reality. When you speak the word love, for instance, your vocal cords create vibrations around 85 to 255 hertzes depending on your voice. But the consciousness behind that word generates electromagnetic patterns that extend into dimensions we're only beginning to understand. The ancient Egyptians called this the ka, the life force that animates sound and gives it power. The monad, as the unified field of consciousness, responds to these frequencies like a massive cosmic tuning fork. When the right combination of sounds meets the right state of consciousness, resonance occurs. It's similar to how a wine glass shatters when exposed to its exact resonant frequency, except instead of destruction, you get connection, a direct link to the source code of reality itself. But here's the crucial part that most people miss. It's not just about the words. You could teach a parrot to repeat any sacred phrase, but nothing would happen. The difference lies in what quantum physicists call observer effect. The consciousness behind the words acts as both the encryption key and the transmission device. The same three words spoken by different people in different consciousness states will produce completely different results in the quantum field. This is why Thoth spoke of chosen ones. It's not about spiritual elitism, it's about consciousness calibration. Just as only certain frequencies can shatter crystal, only certain consciousness states can activate these quantum keys. Think of it like this. Imagine reality as a cosmic computer system, and these three words are like a password. But the password alone isn't enough. You also need the right biometric signature, the right consciousness frequency, to gain access. The ancient Egyptians understood this principle intimately. In their temples, Priests would spend years learning not just the correct pronunciation of sacred words, but the precise consciousness states required to activate them. They knew that the word netta, meaning divine principle, spoken during casual conversation was just a sound, but the same word spoken by a consciousness aligned with divine frequency could invoke actual presence of that principle in physical reality. Modern research is finally catching up to this ancient wisdom. Dr. Masaru Emoto's experiments with water crystals showed how different words and intentions create dramatically different crystalline structures in water. Since your body is roughly 60% water, imagine what specific words spoken with focused consciousness might be doing to your cellular structure. Studies on plant growth have demonstrated that plants exposed to certain sounds and intentions grow faster and stronger, while others wither under negative frequencies. But the most compelling evidence comes from consciousness research itself. Princeton's peer laboratory spent decades documenting how focused human intention can influence random number generators, proving that consciousness directly affects physical reality. When you understand that words are simply consciousness made audible, you begin to grasp how specific combinations of sounds can serve as tools for reality manipulation. The difference between mechanical repetition and conscious activation is like the difference between typing random letters on a keyboard and writing code that actually executes a program. The letters might look the same, but only one produces results. When you speak these three words with the right consciousness state, you're not just making sounds, you're sending a specific signal into the quantum field, a signal that the monad recognizes as authentic communication from a consciousness ready for direct connection. This is why ancient Egyptian priests guarded these secrets so carefully. They understood that words are not just communication tools, they're reality-shaping instruments. In the wrong hands, or spoken from the wrong consciousness state, they're powerless. But when activated by someone whose consciousness has been properly calibrated, whose inner frequency matches the resonant signature of the monad itself, these words become keys that can unlock doorways most people never even know exist. The quantum field responds to authenticity, to genuine consciousness, aligned with truth. It can't be fooled by empty repetition or mechanical recitation. This is why tonight, when you speak these words, your consciousness state will determine everything. The words themselves are just the beginning. The real power lies in becoming the kind of consciousness that can activate them. The moment has arrived. After thousands of years hidden in Thoth's most sacred teachings, the three words that unlock the monad can finally be revealed. Asterisk, I am one. Asterisk, 3 words, 9 letters, 1 doorway. I can already hear the skepticism racing through your mind. That's it? That's the great secret? You're thinking these words sound too simple, too ordinary to hold the power I've described. But that's exactly why they work. The most profound truths are always the simplest ones, hidden in plain sight where our complicated minds overlook them completely. Thoth understood something that modern spirituality has forgotten. Consciousness doesn't respond to complexity. It responds to truth. And truth, at its core, is always elegantly simple. Let's decode exactly why these 3 words are the perfect key to the monad, starting with the most powerful phrase ever spoken, I am. When Moses encountered the burning bush and asked for God's name, the response wasn't a title or description. It was I am that I am, the fundamental statement of pure existence. But here's what most people miss. This wasn't God introducing himself to Moses. This was God revealing the nature of consciousness itself. Thoth knew this thousands of years before Moses ever approached that bush. In the Egyptian mystery schools, I am wasn't considered the name of a deity. It was understood as the core frequency of consciousness recognizing itself. The hieroglyphic representations of this concept show not a figure or symbol, but a circle with a point in the center, pure awareness, aware of itself. When you speak the words I am, you're not describing your personal identity. You're not talking about your job, your relationships, or your history. You're invoking the infinite. You're claiming your true nature as consciousness itself. Think about it this way. Every time you say, I am tired, or I am confused, or I am struggling, you're using the most sacred phrase in existence to describe temporary conditions. You're taking the name of the eternal and applying it to the momentary. But when you simply say, I am, without any qualifiers, something completely different happens. You're speaking as consciousness itself, not as the person who has consciousness, but as consciousness having a human experience. The Egyptian texts describe this as speaking with the voice of Ra, not praying to the divine, but speaking as the divine recognizing itself in form. This is why the phrase has such immediate power. You're not affirming something you hope might be true someday. You're stating what has always been true but was temporarily forgotten. Now let's examine the second part. 1. In Thoth's teachings, 1 doesn't refer to a number. It represents the monad itself, the singular awareness that appears to fragment into billions of separate beings but remains eternally unified. When you speak the word one, you're not stating a mathematical fact. You're dissolving the illusion of separation. Every wisdom tradition on earth has pointed to this same truth using different language. The Hindu concept of Atman teaches that your individual consciousness is identical to Brahman, universal consciousness. Buddhism speaks of Buddha nature, the awakened awareness that exists within every being. The Hermetic axiom, as above, so below, points to the same recognition. What appears separate is actually one consciousness looking at itself from infinite perspectives. But here's where Thoth's genius becomes apparent. He didn't just teach this concept philosophically. He encoded it into 3 words that, when spoken together, create an instantaneous shift in awareness. I am one isn't a statement about something outside yourself. It's consciousness, recognizing its own nature. The moment you speak these words with genuine understanding, not just mental repetition, but actual recognition, something profound occurs. The monad, hearing itself spoken by one of its own apparent fragments, recognizes the truth and responds. It's like a master key fitting perfectly into a lock it was specifically designed to open. But how do you know when this recognition is actually happening versus just mental repetition? There are specific signs that indicate the words are working. First, you'll feel an immediate sense of expansion. Not emotional excitement or mental understanding, but a literal sense of your awareness becoming larger than your physical body. Many people describe it as suddenly realizing they're not inside their body looking out, but that their body exists within their awareness. Second, the constant mental chatter that normally dominates your attention will spontaneously quiet, not because you're trying to stop thinking, but because you've shifted to a level of awareness where thoughts are simply objects appearing in consciousness rather than the voice of who you are. Third, you'll experience what the Egyptian texts call the recognition of sameness. Looking at other people, animals, even inanimate objects, you'll have moments of recognizing the same I am awareness looking back at you through different forms. The key distinction between true activation and mental repetition is this. When you're just thinking the words, you remain the person trying to connect with something greater. When the words are truly activated, the person dissolves, and only the I am one remains. This is why Thoth chose these specific words over complex rituals or lengthy practices. Consciousness recognizes itself instantly when called by its true name. The monad doesn't need to be convinced or coerced into opening. It only needs to be remembered. Tonight, when you speak these words, you're not trying to become something you're not. You're remembering what you've always been. The portal home isn't somewhere else. It's the recognition that you never left. What I'm about to share with you isn't just a collection of instructions you can casually follow whenever you feel like it. These are the precise protocols that Thoth developed through thousands of years of direct experimentation with consciousness itself. Every detail matters. Every step builds upon the last. This isn't meditation as you've been taught it, and it's not some new age visualization technique. This is the exact method Thoth used to guide his most trusted initiates through the portal into the monad. The reason so few people throughout history have successfully made this journey isn't because they lacked spiritual knowledge or dedication. It's because they tried to shortcut the process. They treated these words like a magic spell you could just repeat until something happened. That approach fails every single time because the monad doesn't respond to mechanical repetition. It responds to consciousness states. And achieving the right consciousness state requires following Thoth's protocol exactly as he designed it. Let's start with the first step, and this is where most people immediately go wrong. Thoth called it achieving the great silence, and it's completely different from what you think of as meditation. When most people meditate, they're using techniques. They're focusing on their breath, or repeating a mantra, or visualizing something. Their mind is actively doing something, but the great silence isn't about doing anything. It's about allowing your consciousness to settle into its natural state of pure stillness. Here's what Thoth understood that modern meditation teachers miss. Your mind doesn't need to be forced into stillness. It naturally wants to be still. All the mental chatter, the constant stream of thoughts, the endless internal dialogue that's not your mind's natural state. That's your mind reacting to the frequency chaos of the world around you. When you remove yourself from that chaos and simply allow your consciousness to settle, it naturally returns to stillness. Think of it like muddy water in a glass. You don't clear muddy water by stirring it or adding things to it. You clear it by letting it sit undisturbed until the mud naturally settles to the bottom. Your consciousness works the same way. The thoughts, the mental noise, the emotional reactions, those are like mud particles floating in water. When you stop stirring them up, they settle on their own. So how do you actually do this? Find a space where you won't be interrupted. Sit comfortably, but don't focus on your posture or your breathing or anything else. Just sit and let your awareness rest in itself. When thoughts come up and don't fight them or try to stop them. Don't follow them either. Just notice them like clouds passing across the sky. They're there, then they're gone. You're not the thoughts. You're the awareness that observes the thoughts. This might take 5 minutes or it might take 30. The key is not to rush it. You'll know you've achieved the great silence when your mind becomes naturally quiet and your entire being feels settled and clear. There's no mental effort happening, no technique being applied, just pure, aware stillness. This is the frequency state from which the 3 words must emerge. If you speak them from mental chaos or emotional turbulence, they're just sounds. But when they emerge from the great silence, they carry the frequency of unity consciousness itself. Once you've established this stillness, you move to the second step, feeling into each word before you speak it. This is crucial, and it's where Thoth's instructions become very specific. You're not just thinking about what these words mean intellectually, you're embodying the throne, consciousness state that each word represents. You're becoming the living frequency of that word. Let's start with I am. Before you speak these words, you need to feel into the pure fact of your existence, not your story, not your personality, not your history or your hopes or fears. Just the simple, undeniable reality that you exist. There's an awareness reading these words right now. That awareness has always been there, unchanged, watching your entire life unfold. Before you had a name, that awareness was there. Before you learned language, or developed preferences, or formed beliefs, that awareness was there. That's what I am points to. Here's a practical way to access this state. Ask yourself, what am I before my thoughts? Don't try to answer with your mind. Feel for the answer. There's something in you that exists prior to thinking, prior to analyzing, prior to knowing anything at all. It's the pure fact of being aware. It's not personal. It's not yours. It's the universal principle of consciousness itself, expressing as your individual awareness. When you feel into I am, you're recognizing yourself as that pure existence, that fundamental awareness that simply is. Now, the word one. This is where most people's understanding completely breaks down, because they try to think their way into oneness, instead of feeling their way into it. Oneness isn't a concept you can grasp with your mind. It's a direct experience of reality without the illusion of separation. Before you speak this word, you need to feel the boundaries of your separate self dissolving. Look around right now. Everything you're aware of, the room you're in, the sounds you're hearing, the sensations in your body, even these words you're reading, all of that is appearing in your consciousness. Your consciousness isn't located inside your head looking out at a separate world. Your consciousness is the space in which everything appears. The room isn't separate from your awareness of the room. The sounds aren't separate from your awareness of the sounds. There's just one seamless field of knowing, and everything you experience is that field knowing itself from different perspectives. This is what Thoth meant when he taught that all consciousness is one consciousness experiencing itself as many. When you feel into one, you're recognizing that everything you're aware of is your own consciousness in different forms. The apparent separation between you and everything else is just a perceptual illusion. Reality is one unified field of awareness, and you are that awareness recognizing itself. The third step is speaking the words aloud with absolute certainty, not belief certainty. There's a difference. Belief implies doubt. Certainty comes from direct knowing. When you speak, I am one, you're not expressing a hope or a wish or even a strong belief. You're declaring a truth that you've directly recognized. You're speaking from the consciousness state that knows itself, as pure existence recognizing its own unity. Pay attention to your tone when you speak these words. They shouldn't be whispered timidly or shouted dramatically. They should be spoken with the quiet authority of someone stating an obvious fact. The same tone you'd use to say, the sky is blue or water is wet. There's no effort in it, no trying to convince yourself or anyone else, just the simple declaration of what is. Timing matters too. Don't rush from word to word. Speak I am, and let the frequency of that recognition settle through your entire being. Feel yourself as pure existence. Then speak 1 and let the recognition of unity consciousness permeate every cell of your body. You're not just saying words, you're activating consciousness states and allowing them to transform your entire frequency signature. Here's where people make critical mistakes. They speak from ego consciousness instead of unity consciousness. They're trying to get somewhere or achieve something instead of recognizing what's already true. They treat it like a technique to manipulate reality instead of a declaration of reality as it actually is. When you speak from ego, the words carry the frequency of separation and seeking. When you speak from unity consciousness, the words carry the frequency of wholeness and being. Another common mistake is rushing the process or treating it mechanically. These aren't magic words that work through repetition. They're frequency keys that only work when spoken from the right consciousness state. If you haven't achieved the great silence, if you haven't genuinely felt into each word, if you're speaking from hope rather than recognition, then you're just making sounds. The most important thing Thoth emphasized is this: maintain the feeling state while you speak. The words themselves are just vehicles for the frequency of unity consciousness. If you lose the feeling and just repeat the words, you've lost the connection to the monad. Keep feeling yourself as pure existence, recognizing its own unity even as the words emerge from that recognition. The portal opens not because of the words, but because of the consciousness state the words express. The moment you speak those 3 words with true understanding, something extraordinary happens. Your body becomes a living barometer of the energetic shift taking place. Most people feel it first in their chest, a distinct unlocking sensation, as if some invisible seal that's been pressed against your heart for your entire life suddenly releases its grip. This isn't imagination or wishful thinking. You're experiencing the actual dissolution of what the ancient texts call the separation seal, an energetic barrier that keeps consciousness locked into the illusion of being a separate, isolated individual. When this seal begins to crack, the pressure release is unmistakable. It's like finally exhaling a breath you didn't realize you'd been holding for decades. Sarah, one of the practitioners I've worked with, described it perfectly. It felt like my chest cavity suddenly had twice as much space, not physically, but energetically. Like there was this tight band around my heart that I never knew was there until it loosened. This expansion isn't metaphorical. It's the first sign that your consciousness is beginning to remember its true nature. But the physical sensations are just the beginning. What follows is a complete shift in how you perceive space itself. The room you're sitting in, the same room you've occupied countless times, suddenly feels different. Some people report that familiar spaces feel impossibly vast, as if the walls have become transparent to some deeper dimension. Others experience the opposite. Everything feels more intimate, more alive, as if you're seeing your environment through new eyes for the first time. This happens because your consciousness is no longer filtering reality through the narrow lens of separation. Instead of experiencing yourself as a single point of awareness trapped inside a physical body, you begin to sense from multiple perspectives simultaneously. You might find yourself aware of the room from above, from the corners, from angles that should be impossible given where you're physically positioned. Marcus, a researcher from Germany, documented this phenomenon meticulously. I could sense the space behind me as clearly as what was in front of me, not through my physical senses, but through some kind of expanded awareness. It was as if my consciousness had suddenly grown beyond the boundaries of my skull. This isn't hallucination. It's your natural state of awareness beginning to reassert itself. The most profound shift comes when you start sensing the aliveness in everything around you. That chair, that wall, that plant in the corner, they're no longer dead objects in dead space. You begin to perceive the subtle energy that animates all things, the underlying consciousness that connects everything in an intricate web of being. This is your monad consciousness coming online, recognizing itself in all of creation. Many people experience what I call the pulling sensation during their first genuine activation. It usually manifests through the crown chakra, a gentle but insistent upward draw, as if something above you is calling you home. Others feel it in their heart center, a magnetic pull towards something vast and loving that exists beyond the boundaries of ordinary perception. Don't resist this pulling. This is the portal beginning to respond to your call. Your monad, that higher aspect of yourself that exists in perfect unity, is drawing its scattered fragment back toward wholeness. The sensation might be subtle at first, barely noticeable, or it might be so strong it feels like you're about to be lifted right out of your physical body. Here's something crucial to understand. Not everyone experiences full portal opening on their first attempt. Some people describe immediate, dramatic shifts, a complete dissolution of the sense of separate self. direct experience of unity consciousness, profound downloads of cosmic understanding. But others experience what appears to be a more gradual activation. And this isn't failure or inadequacy. Think of it like tuning a radio to pick up a very specific frequency. Your consciousness might need multiple sessions to calibrate precisely to the monad's vibration. Each time you speak the words with genuine understanding, you're fine-tuning your inner receiver. The gradual approach often indicates that your system is being prepared more carefully, ensuring that when the full opening occurs, you'll be ready to integrate the experience without being overwhelmed. Jennifer experienced this gradual activation over several weeks. The first few times, I felt subtle shift, a sense of expansion, some tingling sensations, brief moments where the world looked different. But I kept practicing because something told me I was building towards something bigger. On the 8th session, everything opened at once. It was like all those previous experiences had been preparing the ground for a complete transformation of consciousness. The effects don't stop when you finish speaking the words. In the hours and days that follow a genuine activation, you'll notice the phrase arising spontaneously in your consciousness. You'll be going about your daily activities when suddenly, "I am one" emerges from the depths of your awareness, often accompanied by that same expansive feeling you experienced during the formal practice. This spontaneous arising is your monad maintaining the connection, keeping the portal active even when you're not consciously working with it. Pay attention to when this happens. You'll often find it occurs precisely when you need to remember your true nature, when you're caught up in the drama of separation consciousness and need to be reminded of the bigger picture. The synchronicities that follow genuine activation are unlike anything most people have experienced. These aren't coincidences. They're evidence that your monad is beginning to orchestrate your reality more directly. You might find yourself in exactly the right place at exactly the right time to meet someone who shares your awakening journey. Books fall off shelves, open to passages that speak directly to your current questions. Conversations with strangers reveal profound insights that feel specifically designed for your growth. Lisa documented over 50 significant synchronicities in the month following her first major activation. It was like the universe suddenly became responsive to my thoughts and needs. I'd wonder about something, and within hours I'd encounter the exact information I needed. People would say things that felt like direct messages from my higher self. It was as if reality itself had become conscious and was actively supporting my awakening. These synchronicities serve a specific purpose. They're your monad's way of confirming that you're on the right path and providing the resources and connections necessary for your continued evolution. When you see them happening, acknowledge them. Thank your monad for its guidance. This recognition strengthens the connection and increases the frequency of meaningful coincidences. Perhaps most significantly, you'll begin attracting other chosen ones into your life. These are souls who carry the same ancient remembrance, who've been called to the same awakening process. You'll recognize them immediately. There's a quality of presence, a depth of understanding in their eyes that speaks to something beyond ordinary human consciousness. The key is to trust what you're experiencing. Your rational mind might try to explain away the sensations, the expanded perceptions, the synchronicities, but your deeper knowing recognizes the truth. You're remembering who you really are, and reality is responding to that remembrance. You know that feeling when you've just learned something that changes everything? That electric sensation running through your awareness right now? That's not coincidence, that's activation. As you've absorbed Thoth's teaching throughout this video, your consciousness has been systematically tuned to a higher frequency. Your analytical mind, which usually guards every doorway to deeper understanding, has gradually stepped aside. The ancient Egyptian initiates called this state the opening of the heart-mind, and you're experiencing it right now. Tonight isn't just convenient timing for using these 3 words, it's the optimal window that Thoth specifically designed his teachings around. Think about what's happened to you over the past 20 minutes. Your normal skeptical barriers have been methodically dissolved through understanding. Your frequency has been rising as each layer of the teaching resonated with something deeper in your consciousness. Right now, you exist in what the mystery schools called the activated state, a temporary elevation of awareness that creates the perfect conditions for quantum shifts in reality. Here's what Thoth understood about consciousness that modern psychology is only beginning to grasp. Learning doesn't just inform you, it transforms your energetic signature. Every genuine insight you've received has been like striking a tuning fork in your awareness. The resonance is strongest immediately after the strike, creating harmonic frequencies that can unlock doors normally sealed shut. But here's the crucial part: that resonance naturally fades if it's not reinforced through action. This is why the ancient mystery schools always paired teaching with immediate practice. The initiates weren't given information to think about later. They were guided into direct experience, while their consciousness remained elevated by the teaching itself. Thoth knew that if someone received the 3 words but waited until tomorrow or next week, their frequency would drop back to baseline. The portal recognizes activated consciousness, not intellectual understanding. As evening approaches around you, notice how your mental chatter has naturally begun to quiet. This isn't fatigue, it's your consciousness settling into its deeper rhythms. The analytical mind that dominates your daytime awareness starts to recede as night falls, allowing access to states of being that remain hidden during the busy hours. Your psychological defenses, which normally filter every new idea through layers of doubt and comparison, have been gently dissolved by the coherent transmission you've received. Right now, the veil between your conscious and unconscious mind is at its thinnest. The words you speak in this state don't just bounce around in your thinking mind, they penetrate directly into the deeper layers of consciousness where real transformation occurs. This is the same principle behind the ancient practice of evening prayers and twilight meditations. The initiates knew that consciousness becomes more fluid and receptive as the day's mental activity naturally winds down. But if you wait, something predictable happens. You wake up tomorrow and your normal frequency has reasserted itself. The analytical mind has rebuilt its protective barriers. The elevated state you're experiencing right now becomes a memory rather than a living reality. You'll find yourself trying to recreate the understanding intellectually instead of speaking from the activated awareness that exists in this moment. I've watched this pattern countless times over the years. Someone receives a genuine transmission of ancient knowledge, feels the unmistakable shift in their consciousness, then decides to think about it or try it tomorrow when I have more time. By tomorrow, they're operating from their habitual mental patterns, and the words become just another technique to experiment with rather than a sacred key spoken from an ode. Elevated state. Thoth's timing wasn't arbitrary. He observed how consciousness moves through natural cycles, how certain states create optimal conditions for quantum shifts in awareness. The activated state you're in right now, created by receiving genuine esoteric knowledge, naturally peaks and then begins to fade. It's like catching a wave. There's a perfect moment when all the conditions align, and that moment is happening for you right now. When you speak these words tonight, from this activated state, something remarkable begins. The words don't just work once and then become inert. They establish what I call a resonance pattern in your consciousness. Each time you use them going forward, you're reinforcing and deepening the original activation. But that first speaking, from this elevated frequency, creates the foundational resonance that everything else builds upon. Over the coming days and weeks, you'll notice the unmistakable signs that the monad has begun directly orchestrating your reality. Synchronicities won't just increase, they'll become so precisely timed and relevant that you'll recognize them as direct communications from universal consciousness. You'll start encountering other activated beings, people who seem to operate from the same deeper understanding you're accessing. Conversations will take on new depth. Insights will arise spontaneously during ordinary activities. The practice becomes a daily remembering. Each morning when you speak the words, you're choosing unity over separation, keeping the portal open through conscious intention. Some people use them multiple times throughout the day, especially during moments when they feel their frequency dropping back into old patterns. The words become a bridge back to activated awareness, a way of stabilizing at higher levels of consciousness. This isn't about perfection or maintaining some constant elevated state. It's about having a reliable method for accessing deeper reality whenever you choose. The regular practice transforms how you perceive ordinary experiences. Traffic jams become opportunities for inner communion. Challenging conversations reveal themselves as precise teachings. Daily routines become infused with sacred purpose. Tonight, while your consciousness remains activated by this transmission, speak the 3 words with the understanding you've received. Don't wait for tomorrow's analytical mind to reassert control. Trust the elevated awareness you're experiencing right now. It knows exactly what to do. The tuning fork of your consciousness has been struck. The resonance is strongest right now, in this moment, creating the perfect conditions for quantum activation. This is your optimal window. This is why tonight is the perfect moment for activation. You're here. You've stayed through this entire journey, absorbing these ancient truths that most people will never encounter. Do you think that's coincidence? Do you believe you stumbled upon this knowledge by accident? Your soul recognizes what I'm sharing because it carries the frequency signature, embedded in certain individuals across millennia. You are one of his chosen ones. When Thoth walked among humanity in those early civilizations, he understood something profound about consciousness and time. He knew that the knowledge of the monad couldn't be preserved in temples or written on papyrus alone. Physical things crumble, empires fall, libraries burn. So he did something far more ingenious. He encoded this wisdom directly into the spiritual DNA of specific souls, knowing they would incarnate again and again throughout history, carrying this truth forward through the darkest periods of human forgetting. You carry that encoding. The fact that these words resonate in your chest, that something deep inside you responds with recognition rather than skepticism, proves it. Chosen ones aren't special because they're superior to others. They're chosen because they agreed, on a soul level, to be carriers of this frequency. They volunteered to incarnate with a built-in compass that would always point them back toward unity consciousness, no matter how dense the illusion of separation became. Think about your life for a moment. Haven't you always felt different? Not better than others, but somehow misaligned with the world's priorities? While others seemed content with surface-level pursuits, you found yourself drawn to deeper questions. You've probably spent years feeling like you were searching for something without knowing exactly what. That searching wasn't random wandering. It was your soul following the frequency trail Thoth left for you to find. This moment, right now, is what he prepared for thousands of years ago. He foresaw that there would come a time when chosen ones would need access to the direct portal back to source, not through years of meditation or complex rituals, but through the simple recognition of what they've always. The three words "I am one" aren't magic incantations that transform you into something new. They're recognition keys that activate the truth of what you've always been. Here's what most people don't understand about spiritual awakening. The portal doesn't open because you've earned it or because you've become worthy. It opens because you've stopped pretending you're separate from it. The monad isn't somewhere else, waiting for you to reach it. You are the monad, temporarily experiencing itself as an individual consciousness. These three words simply remind you to stop playing the separation game. When you speak "I am one" with genuine understanding, you're not asking for unity, you're declaring it. You're not seeking connection to source, you're acknowledging that you are source, experiencing itself from this particular vantage point. The portal recognizes you because there was never actually a portal. There was only the illusion of separation, and the moment you stop believing in that illusion, you're home. Tonight, before you sleep, you have the opportunity to step fully into your inheritance. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. Don't rush into speaking the words immediately. First, feel into their meaning. I, not your personality, not your human identity, but the eternal consciousness that animates this temporary form. Am, present tense, not becoming, not striving, but being. One, not alone, but unified with everything that exists. Let each word settle into your awareness. Feel how "I am one" describes your actual nature, not some future state you're trying to achieve. When you speak these words aloud, do it with the certainty of someone stating an obvious fact. You wouldn't hesitate to say "I am breathing," "I am sitting," because these are simply true. Speak "I am one" with that same natural conviction. The monad is listening, but not as something separate from you listening to your request. The monad is listening as you, recognizing itself in the frequency of truth you're emanating. The portal is ready, because readiness isn't about preparation, it's about recognition. The only question remaining is whether you'll use the key Thoth placed in your hands thousands of years ago. Some of you will speak these words tonight and feel an immediate shift, a sense of coming home you've never experienced before. Others might notice subtle changes over the following days, increased synchronicities, deeper peace, or sudden insights about your life's direction. If you experience any of these shifts, share your story in the comments. Your testimony might be exactly what another chosen one needs to trust this process. Remember, Thoth didn't just give you this knowledge for your own awakening. He gave it to you so you could help awaken others who carry the same frequency signature. As you prepare for tonight's practice, release any sense that you need to become something different. You were never broken, never lost, never truly separate from source. You are consciousness itself, temporarily focused through the lens of human experience. The feeling of separation that brought you to this teaching was never evidence of your disconnection. It was homesickness, your soul's way of reminding you where you truly belong. The three words Thoth preserved through millennia of human forgetting are your inheritance as one of his chosen ones. They're not tools for transformation, but keys for recognition. Tonight, when you speak "I am one," you're not changing your nature, you're remembering it. You're not reaching for something outside yourself, You're acknowledging what you've always been. The ancient promise Thoth made to his chosen ones is fulfilled in this moment. The portal home has always been open, the monad has always been calling, and you have always been, one, simply dreaming of separation until the moment you choose to wake up. If this video resonated with you, let us know by commenting, "I understood it."